Okay, today I'm working on the 1100 STX. I have to change the bendix. So I've got to pull the stator cover. And in order to pull the stator cover, you've got 7 of these right there in front of my finger. That's a 10 millimeter bolt. The ones on the bottom, obviously, you cannot see at all while you're working on this. You've got oil lines that normally I would pull, but I've got Oetiker clamps on those so that they can't really come loose. You can see center screen, the type of clamp I put on there. And I don't think I left enough slack. And I think I want to put electrical wrap on those lines anyway to protect them better, like the Yamahas do. But anyway, there's going to be 2 hoses. There's one that you can't really see. It's lower. This is cool. I should be able to move this over out of the way. We'll see how much slack I've got in those oil. I may have to pull the pump. But you've got 2 lines. You've got that one that goes into the exhaust. And then there's another one that runs around on the bottom. And those are cooling for your stator. They use those for cooling. They're also known for getting sand and debris down in that that front plate of that cover. And you want to blow when you winterize these, blow through, pull that line, and blow through it with some air to make sure it's clear, because it gets sediment down in the bottom of that thing. They're bad about that. The low spot is in there. Anyway, I'll get it pulled. I'm going to change the stator and the bendix on this one, just because the stator going bad took out the CDI unit on that one, I believe. And so I don't want to take a chance of a stator going bad and taking out this CDI. These CDIs for these are nearly 600 bucks. So it's a very expensive single electronic part that I haven't figured out how to repair yet. I've got one all down, and I don't know what is it that goes bad in them yet. So if anybody knows, please comment below what goes bad in these 99 Kawasaki 1100s that in that CDI box. What is it that goes bad? I don't know. Thinking about switching this one over to the old style ZXI. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, frustrations of mechanicking. I've got my stator cover pulled. The 7 10 millimeter bolts are off, but I've got that bottom hose you really can't see, and it's still connected. I think I'm gonna have to get it loose. I don't have enough room. See, I've got to be able to pull this flywheel in the engine, and I'm not gonna be able to do it with this cover in the way like it is right now. So I'm gonna probably have to get that lower hose off, and obviously I don't have enough slack in my oil lines to pull. And like I said, I've got Oetiker clamps on there, so I can't pull them off of the oil pump end without destroying those clamps. I haven't set Oetikers on the carb yet, so I'm going to have to pull the carb, which I needed to anyway, but I didn't want to do it for this. But that's just the way it goes. Oh, and the top clamp I've lost down in the engine up under the hull. I think it's stainless steel magnet. I'm going to get that. I'll try it with a vacuum hose, see if I can vacuum it out with a shop vac from under there. Other than that, I may have lost that clamp. You know, it's one of the really small ones too. So just little things that you may want to watch out for and not make the same mistakes I did. So to remove your carb, you got 8 10 millimeter bolts in this plastic cover. Then you've got to pull up the flame arresters to expose those silver hex bolts. They are, what was this thing, a 4 millimeter or something like that? 5 millimeter hex bolt. Yeah, there it is. 5 millimeter, 6 screws that hold the carb in, and then this piece will come out. Usually you've got a bracket here. This engine didn't have one when I got it. It mounts to this on the side here and two, but it usually has a bolt here and here that you may have on yours. More than likely you do. This one, somebody had robbed the carburetor off of it when I bought it, so it was missing all of this, and I had to get that from the junkyard. Okay, you can see I got the carb out. That was enough to give me room for pushing this aside. I think I can remove it. Now remember, you've got a big O-ring gasket on this cover. See that? I got my finger hooked around it. I have to put that back on. Also, let's see if I have lost it already. Remember, there's a spring that goes off. And actually the Kawasaki's got a washer too off the end of this bendix. Can't see it from my hand. Let's see if I can feel that spring. Okay, there it is. I feel the washer. So I put grease in that. Yeah, my spring's still in place, but there's my washer. If you're not paying attention, this stuff will drop right in the hole like I lost that clamp, and you're gonna have a fun time fishing it out from under that engine to get it back. I'm gonna grab my spring and make sure I don't lose it. And I actually have an entirely new cover that I've already put a brand new stator in that I'm gonna stick back in here. So I'm gonna have to pull my oil pump and all that other good fun stuff. But I've got to pull the flywheel, and in order to do that, you have to have the Kawasaki flywheel removal tool. You can't just do it with a regular puller. I had to buy one of those. But anyway, so if you're building this engine, I recommend go ahead and changing your bendix out so that you don't have to go back in and do this again. Because if I had to spend, what, 30, 40 bucks on a bendix, I wouldn't have to be going back in here doing any of this. You know, so that's why I say spend the money to do a job right the first time. Of course, if you don't have it, you don't have it, and I understand that because I've been that guy. You just do what you have to do to get the thing running. But on a jet ski that I'm going to sell, no, I want it to be right for somebody, because I don't want my name on something that is junk. Okay, so there you go. So that's your Kawasaki flywheel remover. Had to buy it for my engine build. And that's a 3/4 inch nut on the end of there. It's going to be fun because this was several foot-pounds putting this in. It's going to be fun trying to loosen this inside this hole, I believe. We'll have fun with it. Okay, first, before you can put that tool on, you got to remove this oil pump drive shaft bolt. You see the split in it? That drives your oil pump on the Kawasaki. That's a 14 millimeter, and it's at 59. It's in there pretty good. The rope kept the engine from turning. Now I'm going to put my tool on here. Flywheel remover. Snug everything down and pull that joker off. All right, and that's like I said, it's a, what was that, a 3/4? Yeah, 3/4 inch on the end of that. All right, next flywheel will be off. Oh, and remember, you have a Woodruff key, and that, depending on where that flywheel's sitting, it may drop out. So listen for the little thunk. If it does, you need to pick that up to put it back in. Little flywheel, she pop right out. Probably because it hasn't been on there that long, huh? Not enough time for anything to seize it on. And, I'm just going to inspect the teeth on my flywheel and make sure that that isn't what's causing the problem. I've got a worn one right there. But I don't think that is why we're not engaging. It's sounds like a bad bendix to me. Okay, for all you numbers people, this is a F4T322 Mitsubishi Flywheel. F4T322, and it does have a few worn teeth on it. I don't know if they're worn bad enough to warrant getting a new flywheel, but you see those right there, a little worn because they're silver shiny looking. And then you got, I don't know, there's a little nick on one over here. But there's one spot where there's a tooth that's more worn than the rest of them. I don't think that's what's causing the problem. I do have a junkyard. Probably the 900 is probably the same flywheel. I doubt it's any different. They've got plenty of 900s in that junkyard. I just don't want to have to go do this same process on one in the junkyard to get another part. But anyway, I'll stick in a new bendix and we'll see what happens.